All right, our routines have been mucked up. And here we are. And I don't know about you, but when my routine gets mucked up, I start with data to try to figure out how to move it forward. And I would posit that we all fall in a couple of camps with data. Camp number one, which I proudly and not so proudly, depending on the day, fall in, is looking at data so long and so much that I just swim in it. It's this gorgeous, beautiful information that I can't do anything with. I lose track of time, I lose track of space, and here I am creating these gorgeous dashboards, and then at the end of it, I'm like, all right, so what do I do? Second camp tends to be more of the data is so overwhelming that I'm just not going to look at it at all. It's easier for me to do something else, to take on an activity that is right in front of me right now, and so as a result, underserving the data. And I would guess that most of us fall, if there's a fence, a little bit on one side or the other. I mean, I would love to say that we're all perfectly balanced, but I'm sorry, we're not. So with that, I'm going to do a series on demystifying data. And today's micro lesson is on measures that matter. So I have found that one of the best ways to get data under wraps is to really focus on the measures that matter the most. So you as a micro business owner are in a unique position of having to be familiar with data across all aspects of your business. Marketing, finance, HR, operations, delivery, all of it, because chances are pretty good you don't have a CHRO and you don't have a CMO and you don't have a marketing team and you don't have a CFO. And so here you are sitting trying to play all of these roles. So measures that matter are really important. So I'm going to make this real. Last quarter, my measure that mattered in marketing was all about you guys. It was about engagement. So I had an awful bounce rate on my website. And so I knew I wasn't creating content that was easy to follow or made sense or worthwhile to any of you. My measures showed me that. So what I had to do was figure out, how am I going to be more engaging to you? Because you're the reason I exist. Creating content that matters to you is why I do what I do. Helping you guys is why I do what I do. So engagement was at the core of how I moved the needle last quarter. So I set a goal. I said bounce rate is going to be my measure that matters. Now, it's not the only measure for engagement. There's other indicators as well, but it was my main measure I was looking to move the needle on. My bounce rate was over 90%. Yes, over 90% last quarter. That's horrendous. And by last quarter, I mean the last Q4 of 2019. So I knew I had to make a change, and I had to make a change quick. So I focused on that. And I also picked one platform to focus on, which for me was my mailing list. I had started to collect email addresses, but hadn't stood up my voice, my practice. What was I going to do? And so I got that all off the ground last quarter. And then I layered in video as a content component around everything. So that was my focus. By doing that, I was able to discard all the noise in my measures and say, right now, the only thing that matters for me is engagement. Guess what? I reduced my bounce rate from over 90% in Q4 to under 70% in Q1 and rapidly dropping. Last week's numbers were actually 54%. That is the power of what can happen if you really focus on a measure that matters. So here's my challenge for you today. What measure matters for you right now? Leave it in the comments. I can't wait to hear what you're focused on, and let's get through this together.